He said something was really stupid. He made a huge mistake. I would challenge everybody to, one of the guys, and I've only said hello to him a couple times, is Julian Edelman. He did the same.
Of the Patriots.
Of the Patriots. He wrote a really thought-provoking conversation. I think it was somewhere on Twitter to Myers Leonard. It was special. It was the constructive criticism and compassion, letting him know he screwed up, but wanting to educate him on what he was saying. He actually did the same thing last year with Deshaun Jackson. And if you can criticize somebody and give them compassion, I admire that and respect that. We live in a society today, they call it the cancel culture. When everybody says something stupid or dumb, we want to end their life. I'm not a big believer in that. So I challenge everybody to go read Julian Edelman's statement. The one he wrote to Deshaun Jackson last year and the one he wrote to Myers Leonard today is thoughtful, it's considerate, it's critical, and it's compassionate. So shout out to Julian Edelman of the Patriots and Myers Leonard. It's a teaching moment.
Part of Edelman's statement, he said, I get the sense that you didn't use that word out of hate, more out of ignorance. Most likely you weren't trying to hurt anyone or even profile Jews in your community or in your comment. That's what makes it so destructive. When someone intends to be hateful, it's usually met with great resistance. Casual ignorance is harder to combat and has greater reach, especially when you command great influence. Hate is like a virus. Even accidentally, it can rapidly spread. And he invited him to dinner down in Miami, if that happens. So what is, we know the punishment here handed down by the league for Myers Leonard. What will it take for him when he faces his teammates to make sure everything's straight?
Well, in an organization like the Miami Heat, which I play for, this is something they don't really tolerate. The owner is Jewish. There's a big Jewish community in Miami, and they're going to have to believe that he was really sorry. I think Myers mentioned that he didn't know what the word meant. A lot of people don't know what the word meant, but I think you should really educate yourself. We know it's hurtful. We know it's derogatory. And, he made a mistake, but we professional athletes, we have to realize that we're held to higher standards. We're watched 24/7. People, like to quote us, misquote us, and we have to say the right thing, do the right thing, and we have to lead by example. And, this is a league, that's a professional league, and, Adam says it, this is stuff that will not be tolerated.
I want to say one thing too, Ernie. As a jock, a former jock, I'm not going to try to speak for Kenny or Shaq, but I want to say this. Stuff that we and I have said in the locker room when I played, we can't say that stuff anymore. We thought it was funny. We thought it was a joke. And I'm not going to get on TV and try to act like I ain't never said something stupid. But I'm telling you, stuff that we said in the locker room.
You're right about that.
It's stuff we said in the locker room. If you said it today, you're going to lose your job or get fined, depending on what type of player you are. And I tell all these jocks, hey, man, stuff we used to joke about in the 70s, in the 80s when I played, and the 90s, it can't fly anymore. So you're going to have to really be careful when you're joking around with your friends because you don't know who's around. And if you're live streaming stuff, even if it's a friend of yours, you can't joke
with all those people watching and listening.
We could make that excuse, but
it's not making.
I'm saying like you don't have to be careful. You just have to educate yourself. Like was ridiculous. Like I don't want him to be careful. I want him to realize what he's saying or what he's trying to be careful of saying is not tolerated. And so for me, as you said, is when he comes into the locker room, what he also has to add to the question is he really sensitive about people's ethnic backgrounds and their racial profiles? Because he also stood. So it's like, well, you were not educated about why guys were kneeling. You just answer so many questions when you do something like that. So no, don't be careful. Like, educate yourself, brother, and understand what you're doing. So don't just say it in a small circle when no one hears it, because everything that dogs come to light. Everybody has their faults.
Yeah,
but you can't.
But you got to understand why your words are hurtful.
I don't want him to be careful.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that at all.
I don't want him to just figure out, oh, I'm only saying it around these people.
Well, I don't
want to be around people.
Well, I'm gonna just disagree with you.
I'm not gonna be around
because there's
people.
stuff that I've said in the locker room about other